Okay. Hi, y'all. Good morning. I am very excited today to be here with Tom Morris. I met Tom Morris because he is my dad, and he is, I'm very excited to interview him about his perspective around the coronavirus in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where he lives, but I'm also excited to shamelessly share his story as he is running as a write-in mayor candidate for Bowling Green, Kentucky. So thank you for talking to me today, Dad/Tom.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I'm always glad to be talking to my daughter. So that's a double bonus.
Yeah, this is
and
fun.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Mom. Hi.
I'm about to take a walk, but I'll see you later.
All right. That's my mom. Love you too. Have a nice walk. Surprise appearance. Great, cool. So, before we really get into this, Dad, tell me a little bit more about your life and what led you to where you are today.
Okay, well, I was born here in Bowling Green. I lived here for my growing up years, and then in 1977, after I'd gone to high school, I went off to see the world. I went to Georgia Tech, went to school in Atlanta for a while, and then in 1980 moved to South Carolina and had a career there in computer industry, and had two children, one of whom is right here.
Me.
And so we raised our children in South Carolina, and then in 2011, something like that, we moved back to Bowling Green because my mother was in a nursing home, and we wanted to get near to her, and so we've been Bowling Green ever since.
Right. So you grew up on Bowling Green. You grew up on a dairy farm. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a dairy farm when I was a child, and then later on it was just a produce farm, or we had wheat and corn and that type thing. But yeah, I'm a farm boy. I did a lot of farm work as a kid. I'm proud of that, and
I realized when I was talking to Gran that a lot of people in our family did a lot of farm work before this current generation, because Gran remembers working on farms, and Mom remembers pulling the tobacco worms that hissed off the tobacco plants. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
And I think Bowling Green at earlier on was kind of like the hub of for all the farmers out in the county, and so like your mom's family had a mill here in Bowling Green, and Bowling Green was becoming more industrial and everything, but it still had a lot of farmers, and there was a farm community. Much more than it is today.
Much more than it is today. I reckon probably most of the land that was farmland is now kind of suburban houses. So that's a
lot of the subdivisions that people live in were prime farmland when I was growing up. So
that's right.
Small House Road was a dusty gravel road when I was a kid.
Was it gravel?
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember seeing plumes of dust in the dry weather. A car go by and there'd be dust all over the place.
That's wild. Because when I lived at the farmhouse and I'd ride my bike to Lost River Cave, You ride down Small House Road and you be real careful you don't get run over.
Take your life
But
in
like,
your own hands.
yeah. It's definitely I definitely tried to take the back roads through the suburbs. Yeah, so it's changed a lot. I would imagine that at the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic came, perhaps you didn't see yourself running for mayor. You don't have, like, you've always been very interested in politics. We've always talked about politics around the kitchen table my whole life. It's been a huge part of who I am. But you were a electrical engineer for the first half of your life with NCR and then EMC,
Right.
I guess. And then you moved to Bowling Green, and that's when you kind of started getting interested in sustainable living and
real estate too.
Real estate, yeah. But how to kind of blend the two. So you so I would, it doesn't shock me that you're running for mayor currently, but I do, but it is also interesting because you've never done it before. So tell me about what happened during the 2020 that led you to think that, oh, maybe I want to step my toe in politics.
Well, I was kind of encouraged to run. I really, I thought about it and, but I really hadn't thought seriously about it. And then when after the deadline had passed to get on the ballot, some friends were and I were, we were just not happy with the choices. I'm sure they're fine people, but the policies that they pursued were not in agreement with me. I just saw a lot of potential in Bowling Green that wasn't being fulfilled. I've been several different places and I've studied a lot and I've seen what could be. And I just thought that there were opportunities in Bowling Green to be more than what we are. And not that it's a terrible place, it's a good place, but I just think it could be better. And so with the encouragement of some friends who nominated me on Facebook, it's like I was kind of surprised, but then I thought, well, I'm not getting any younger. If I'm ever going to do something like this, I ought to do it now. I mean,
how old are you, Dad?
I'm 64.
64.
Yep.
Right.
So, and so I just did it. I just filled out the paperwork and went to the county clerk's office and turned in my papers, and I was a candidate. And
you were the only, I'm not sure if this is still the case anymore, but at that stage you were the only Democratic candidate, I guess. All the other candidates were Republican, Is that right?
Right.
Yeah,
it's a nonpartisan race, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
You don't have D or R beside your name on the ballot. But it's not, I guess it's not so much about party as it is about positions and policies that I was not in agreement with. So I thought I would provide an alternative to the ones that were running.
This is a bit embarrassing, but I should know more. Like, does every town have a mayor? Like what is?
In fact, Woodburn, I think population 400 and something, has a mayor.
Woodburn has a mayor. Who's the mayor? Yeah. Who's the mayor of Woodburn?
His name is Joe Weed, I think.
Okay.
He actually lives across the house that
y'all been working on. Yeah.
Of course, you only vote for the mayor if you live in that city. So you wouldn't have voted for Woodburn or Plum Springs.
No, of course. But I just don't, I guess it's just a reminder for me as a citizen that it's important to pay attention to these things. And what happens when and you know, I see a lot of like people talking about this on the Daily Show, or I think it was Stephen Colbert, about how a lot of times we're disconnected from those small town decisions that actually have really big impacts.
Right.
So, so what power does, I'm sorry, Dad, this is a bit of a surprise question, but as we're talking, I'm thinking about, what does a mayor do? What power will you have if you get elected to be mayor?
Well, the mayor is a member of the city council. There are 5 members of the city council, including the mayor. The mayor doesn't have but 1 vote on the city council, but they're supposed to be the moderator of the meetings. And then a lot of the mayor's responsibility involves appointments to boards, and there's just some extra responsibilities that the mayor has that a regular city councilor does not.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, they're supposed to be kind of the figurehead of the city, you know, the person who, you know,
and I know who the mayor of Atlanta is. I know who the mayor of New York is. It's just the smaller, you know, it's funny who I have never voted in either of those states, but or not New York, sorry, New York City and Atlanta, never voted in either of those cities. It's a funny thing, isn't it? And
the Bowling Green has what they call a city manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you actually knew one of the city managers, Mr. DeFebo.
Ah, I knew his son. Yes.
So
Okay.
the city manager is supposed to conduct the day-to-day business of the city. At one time, the mayor was the chief administrator and managed the staff and everything, but now the mayor does not do that. But the city commission sets the policies. So if there is a tax issue, or you know, there's a personnel issue, or you know, they want to create a new agency, or anything like that, that's the responsibility of the city commission. They pass the laws of the city, which we call ordinances, and so they're it has a very important role. It's just that they don't, the city commission doesn't get involved in the day-to-day management of the city infrastructure, you know, the employees of the city or anything like that.
And the mayor does.
Yeah, no, I mean, the mayor is a glorified member of the city commission.
Okay.
But still, it's, people look to the mayor as kind of the figurehead for the city. So and that, I mean, that was one of the things that some of the people have complained about, is that they never hear from our current mayor.
Who's the current mayor?
Bruce Wilkerson.
Okay. Yes, I've seen that name.
Yeah. So, and you know, that was his style, and that was the way he decided to conduct business. But you know, in the pandemic, you would hope that a mayor would be more visible to the people, and so you know, like the governor is, and our judge executive has been. It's not, you know, it's not that they've got all that much power, but it's kind of like a chief encourager and chief promoter.
It's a symbol almost, I think, like and so I reckon if you got elected, Dad, you would be more likely to try to be involved, to have a voice. I already see that you have a voice, like you do videos every day, which I wish you would.
Not every day, but
well, but you try to, and you also created, I do want to mention this, you created the Safe Places to Patronize in Bowling Green, Kentucky Facebook group, which you're very active on, where everybody talks about businesses that are doing the right thing, that have hand sanitizer and that are wearing masks and stuff like that. So you, and So that's I think I understand. So it's about being an actual representative for the people and hearing people's voices. And I wanted to, I wanted to talk about that a little bit more. This is maybe just as much for the people who might be watching who aren't from Bowling Green, Kentucky, but
No, I think it's also for the people who live here, because a lot of people who live here probably don't understand this. And I didn't understand it when I first moved here. So it's good. Yeah, it's very good.
But tell me how you think Kentucky, Bowling Green and Kentucky, how do you think they have done with COVID-19? I know that the U.S. is the worst in the world right now, although people are saying India is going to pass it pretty soon. New York started out as the worst place. Now it's looking like New York's got it the most under control out of everybody. I watched Andy Bashir's, every morning I wake up and he was addressing I'd wake up in Australia and he would have his evening talks on, really encouraging people, trying to communicate with everyone in Kentucky. Tell me how you feel it's been handled in Kentucky and in Bowling Green, the pandemic.
Well, I would say we've done better than many states. And unfortunately, in the U.S., it's just been basically up to the states. And so there's a wide variation among states as to how it's handled. Of course, I approve of the way Andy Bashir has handled our state. He's been under a tremendous amount of pressure because businesses are hurting, people are hurting, people are out of jobs. So it's been a terrible burden to bear. He hadn't been elected that long. So, but our numbers are better. They're not great, but they're better than a lot of the surrounding states. And I would credit, his early response for that.
Because I think, what is it? It was Ohio closed schools and Kentucky followed shortly thereafter, I think. Was something like that?
And unfortunately, it seems like the opinion of how the governor's doing depends a lot on what party you're affiliated with. And so there's a lot of people that call him a tyrant and that he's,
Little Andy.
Yeah. So, and he's been, there's been some very ugly things done on the governor's, at the governor's mansion. So, I think it's a reflection of the times that we're living in right now. But Kentucky, we could have done better, I'm sure. The governor is under tremendous pressure to open things up, and and has done so. But I think he's held the line better than many. But Bowling Green has, we've struggled. I don't read the numbers every day, but I know that we have had some pretty high numbers. Maybe because part of it's because we're close to Tennessee. I'm just guessing on that, but and we lost a physician.
Oh, really?
She Dr. Shadowin had been diagnosed several months ago, and she just passed away. So we're certainly not immune from it, and we've had some tough times, and there's still, even though it's getting better, there are still some people who refuse to keep others safe by wearing masks. And I don't like to wear a mask. I can, I really don't like to wear a mask, and I don't if I'm just walking along the street or whatever, but I try to put one on if I approach someone or close to someone, and I think it's just the right thing to do. We don't have a vaccine. We don't have any other way of handling it and keeping other people safe. So, you do it for other people. You don't do it for yourself. So, and
Um,
there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion on that Safe Places group
yeah.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
And but the Safe Places group is not a democracy. It's basically people who want to
This
know
is
how
the
to keep
safe places
safe.
to patronize in
Yeah,
Bowling Green, Kentucky. This is the Facebook group. So it's not about there's no debate about whether or not masks are safe. It's about the businesses that are embracing mask
right,
culture.
right. And if some members don't understand that, and they uh, uh, post about conspiracy theories and that type thing, and they're invited to leave the group.
Are they
They,
invited or do they get kicked out?
well, they actually get kicked out.
Yeah.
So
That's a nice
I
way of
don't
saying that,
I
Dad.
don't. Fortunately, I have there are a couple of great administrators, great moderators that are helping me now. So
Yeah.
I don't make a lot of those decisions anymore, and it's been a great help. And that's just an example of how people can work together, because these people they
Yeah.
just kind of stepped up and did it, and it's still providing a great service, I think.
Do you have you met anybody? Do you know anybody who's had COVID-19?
I know one person
Mm-hmm.
who had it and
Mm-hmm.
recovered. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've I've heard of quite a few people who've had it
Mm-hmm.
and recovered,
Mm-hmm.
or are in still dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know anybody real closely
Yeah.
that has had it.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
that doctor, the whole city of Bowling Green pretty much was following the case of that doctor. She was,
Okay. Right.
I think she was an epidemiologist. She
Right.
was very highly respected. Everybody was rooting for her. They thought she was going to pull through. And then
Mm.
we just found out yesterday or day before that she died. So,
Oh. So that was recent, was it?
oh yeah,
That was recent.
it was.
Oh, that's so sad. Well, it's also sad. It's also sad, and the stories that are happening are, we're going to continue to hear stories like this for a while. There's the repercussions in different ways and different capacities are all so devastating. That I've talked to a few people. This is a little bit of a surprise question as well, but another thing that everyone in Australia has been watching the United States quite a lot, following a lot of the protests. I just want to touch on this briefly because I guess it is important, and it is, I am curious. So Kentucky is where Breonna Taylor was from before she was killed in the night by a police officers actually. That's not in Bowling Green, that's in Louisville. Have you do you have any opinions about that specific situation? And has Bowling Green, I know that I've been reading about protests in Louisville. Has Bowling Green had any reaction to that as a neighboring city?
Yes. I mean, I've there have been some protests. I went to one meeting a few weeks ago, or it was kind of where people got up and spoke, and they had some police officers there. The It seems like the relationship between law enforcement and the African American community is better here than it is in many places.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's perfect, and
Mm-hmm.
it probably needs to be improved, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. you know, the sheriff actually came and spoke to the African American community. The and some
Here in
police.
Bowling Green?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think overall we've been spared the worst of the conflict. It's been very peaceful. The protests have been peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you know, anybody with a heart, in my opinion,
Yeah.
cannot see these murders, and that's what they are. They're murders take place and not be moved.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Breonna Taylor situation was tragic because she was asleep in her apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, somebody starts shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and her partner shot back. You know, wait, you know, what do you do when somebody starts shooting in your house? You know,
Yeah.
and then she died, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And
there,
the officers have not been arrested. There has,
as far as I know,
there
yeah,
has,
it's still
yeah.
being,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a big
Yeah.
deal, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and also there was a no-knock warrant, which was conducted so that the police did not have to announce themselves, and so it was legal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't right, I don't think. What happened?
Well, I think that's what a lot of I mean, that is what I understand. A lot of the anger and the rage is around the fact that a lot of things are legal, but that doesn't mean that they're right. And I guess that's you know, there's a lot of things that people can get away with and you know. Also, I remember you posted something on Facebook, Dad. This is probably like over a year ago now. It was Bowling Green was hiring police officers. And I was looking at the job application and I was like, oh, I could be a police officer.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, and no disrespect to anyone who's a police officer, but we do need high standards for police officers. Any police officer that does not treat every individual the same, regardless of their race, regardless of their past history, you know, should not be a police officer.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And so but I don't know what's going on. I do know there's a group called Game Changers who's attempting to understand and correct the issue of the employees of the city are less people of color than the population of the city. So it appears that there's been some barrier for people of color to get into management positions or even be hired. And so they're trying to figure out, you know, what it is that the barrier is and try to overcome it. Because, you know, if you're living, you know, if you see no one of your complexion in areas of responsibility, there's a problem. And so
I think representation matters, right? It's when you see, I mean, and it's in many different ways. And I don't think that is some people, I think, particularly on the right, think that's almost like a racist thing to say, that we want to, that people like to see people of similar skin colors, but it's like, you know, like, I think it's not that big of a deal. I think it's like when you see,
Right.
someone who's, if you're gay and you see someone who's gay in office, it's a good thing. If I'm a woman and I see a woman running for president, it's an exciting thing. And it doesn't mean that I agree with every single policy that she has, but it does, it is just a, yeah.
We can't have, we cannot have unqualified people holding these jobs. We do not need to, and that, you know, that may be education gap and maybe a training gap that's part of the problem. This group of game changers, you know, they're not just saying you got to hire, you know, African Americans no matter what. They're saying, what are the barriers, and let's overcome them.
Okay.
And, you know, it's a very reasonable approach. I think it's not like, you know, we need to hire unqualified people. But we need to have people who reflect the neighborhood they're in.
Cool. I'll have to check them out. I might tag game changers in this interview as well.
Yeah, there's a Facebook group for them. In fact, a couple of area pastors are involved in it, and I've got some friends that are involved in it too. It's very good.
Cool. What would you hope to? What is Bowling Green like? You said you talked about the people running for mayor, and what. I mean, I understand that a mayor, sounds like what you're saying, doesn't have a huge amount of power, but it is about it is about kind of the representation of the city and listening to people. What could you do if you're elected? If people write you in as Morris for mayor, what can you do to change how Bowling Green is, or what would you like to do?
Well, first of all, the mayor is one vote out of 5 on city commission, and so given for an example, last year we 2 commissioners, one commissioner posed a motion. The other one seconded the motion that we pass a fairness ordinance. And that fairness ordinance basically adds sexual orientation to the other list of things that are not to be discriminated against, race, gender, etc. So, but there were 3 votes against it and 2 for it. The 2 people who voted for it were the one who made the motion and one who seconded it. So as a third vote, I could make a difference there.
Right.
And so that's one example. I am involved in the environmental movement. And so a lot of cities are passing commitments to 100% renewable energy. And it's I think Louisville is, if they haven't passed it, they're in the process of passing it. And cities all over the country are making that commitment. Even though, you know, at the national level, there's not much progress. The cities are saying, you know, we can't solve the problem ourselves, but we can do our part. And I would like to see Bowling Green do our part. To pass an ordinance.
You've been, I think, particularly as I've gotten older. I remember when I was probably like just in college, you and Mom got the Prius, which was very exciting. You've always been kind of interested in new technology. Yeah, you still have it. You've had that Prius for over, I think, 10 years now, and it keeps on chugging. I remember. So I remember when you guys got the Prius, and when you all moved to Bowling Green. You joined the Sierra Club, which I was very excited about because that's an interesting organization that's kind of focused on the environmental movement. And so you, I guess you have your business Sustainovators, which is real estate, but it's also about doing it sustainably. You have put solar panels up on our farm. You have solar panels in several of the different houses. That
Two different houses.
Two different houses, including your own. What about your house?
Right.
Yeah. So environmentalism is probably a key issue, I'd say, for you. Well, I mean, I know that in general, you know, that's one of many different things, but why do you care about environmental issues?
Well, you know, the way I look at it is that everybody should be an environmentalist. It's not just this esoteric interest that I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I understand the science. I'm not a you know, a climate scientist, but 97% of all scientists agree that global warming is real
Mm-hmm.
and it's human caused,
Mm-hmm.
and that we need to do something about it urgently.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
And more people are beginning to understand that, especially, you know, and you were in the affected by the Australian wildfires, and then now California.
Yeah, I've been watching
Oregon.
California. California is nuts.
Yeah,
it looks like
really,
Australia was last year,
right,
or this year. Yeah.
And so this is the type of thing that scientists have predicted would happen as the climate warmed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it's a tough thing, and there are vested interests that want to keep things the way they were, you know, and so, but when you have knowledge, you got a responsibility to act on it. And once I studied the subject, I felt like I had no choice but to act, because it's going to affect you more than me. You know, I'll be gone probably when the worst of it hits, but it's going to affect you and, you know, oncoming generations more than it will me. So, you know, I've been very blessed. You know, I've had a good, you know, I had a good job, and I was able to step back from it. So you know, this is something that I'm going to devote the rest of my life to working for, you know, to try to find solutions.
That's great. Me too, Dad. To the best that I can. I think it's important. Everybody's got to kind of have that, at least until the world makes a drastic change. Everybody's got to understand how dire the situation kind of is. To take it down from a less apocalyptic level, you mentioned that you've had some ups and downs running for office. I was curious. Tell me, we'll start wrapping it up, Dad, because I've taken quite a lot of your time, and I don't want to take too much of it. But tell me about what you've learned, or some of the crazy. I know you've been making a lot of phone calls. You haven't been going out too much because of the pandemic, but yeah, tell me about what's been going on there.
Well, you know, of course, I'd helped with Jeannie Smith's campaign, so I knew some about running for office, but there's nothing like actually doing it yourself. And I would say this is one of the more bizarre campaigns one could have for their first campaign. First of all, a few weeks ago, our current mayor, who was on the ballot, withdrew.
Really? Wilkerson?
Yeah.
So he's not running. He's not running.
He's not running.
Okay.
And he
that increases your odds, doesn't it?
He endorsed Todd Alcott, who is the other candidate.
Right.
And so then basically, you know, my whole strategy, it's like, okay, I'll rethink it some. Um, and then this last week, another candidate announced as a write-in candidate.
Yeah.
So, and so
You got to be on
what?
your toes.
Yeah.
You got to pivot.
So, it's certainly, these things don't usually happen. So I'm trying to adapt to the new reality and try to convince people that I'm the most qualified, I'm the best person for the job, and I hope I can get enough people to write my name in on the line to get
How
elected.
many people will need to write your name in, Dad?
I'm looking like maybe 8,000, something like
Right.
that, depending on how many people vote and how the vote goes. But if I got 10,000 votes, I'd be sure to win. But
and how big is Bowling Green? How many people live in Bowling Green?
I think it's 60 something thousand, but not that many people vote.
Yeah,
I should know that. Yeah, maybe you want to cut this out. I should know this.
I thought it was more than that. I can update it on the thing.
Yeah, I know it. Let me look on Wikipedia right quick.
Yeah. What will you do if you don't get elected?
It's I've got plenty of business things to do.
Yeah.
I want to, get involved with solar. I may take on more responsibility in the Sierra Club. I won't be lacking for anything to do. I guess I didn't. It's not my life's ambition to be mayor, but I do want to see some positive changes in Bowling Green, and so I'll I'd like to see the city have a sustainability program, have so I may, whoever gets elected, I may advocate for that, and maybe by running, I've gotten kind of a platform where people will listen to me more than before. So I've got lots of options.
Yeah.
And I'll probably also get involved in the Citizen Climate Lobby maybe more, which is a good organization trying to lobby for policies at the national level.
That's great, Dad. That's good. It sounds like, it's been a crazy year. The whole family had big plans this year. We thought we were going to go to New York City and celebrate Mom's 60th. We thought we were going to visit Zach. We had lots of family plans together that unfortunately none of that, although you did get, Zach did move back in, so you did get plenty of family time with him, which is, I guess, that has happened to a lot of people all over the world as they're dealing with changes in their household situation that was a bit unexpected. But I know that, and because you run a business, I know that business has changed for you. You have not probably had as many people staying as you usually would, and you've had to change some of your accommodations to how, it's been a tough year. But have you observed any silver linings or positive things because of this pandemic?
I think that we've realized a lot of us have realized, what's truly important and what's not. Someone the other day said, and I think someone wrote an article about the pandemic being a portal through which we move to a better world, something like that. And I thought that was really neat. You know, we have got tremendous challenges that we have not faced up to, and you know, the pandemic has shown, you know, why it's so important everybody have health insurance, for example.
Yep.
Why we need to have safety nets for people. So if they lose their jobs, there's just been a lot of things that this is exposed. It's been there all along, but it's really shown us that we need to deal with. I'm hoping that we will deal with some of these things, that we have some better policies. But it's I hope that we can get beyond these divisions that we have as a country.
I'm worried about that. I feel like everyone I've talked to from the States feels like there's so much division, more division than there's ever been, and I'm not even there. But I pick up on it, I think, and it's on social media and it's conversations that you have with Americans. Like, I hope that that gets better as well, because it seems like sometimes you can't even have a conversation. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you always try to make the best of any situation, and I hope that hope I'm a better person because of it. I certainly will be a different person because of it, and I hope I'm better. So.
All right. Well, that's a good answer. I think that's a nice way to wrap things up. Is there anything else you want to say, Dad, before I stop recording?
Oh, my website.
Oh, yes. How can people find out about you?
It's morrisforbg.com. morrisforbg.com. I've said that many times.
Yeah.
Many phone messages.
Yeah.
And
did
and
Laura help you with that?
What?
Did Laura help you with that, with the website? You've had so many.
She's done some great graphics for me.
Yeah. You've had so many people. I feel bad that I haven't been able to do more, Dad. But you've had like so many people. I was so great. My friend Laura in California just jumped in your campaign and made an illustration for you and made your logo and all those types of things. And I'm sure somebody's helping you a little bit with the website. Zach made you a video, which was wild.
We're probably going to do some more videos.
Yeah, good.
And also, you know, just write. All you got to do is write in my last name, Morris. You don't have to write my first name. You just write my last name.
But you got to go to the polls too, or not go to, or you got to mail it in, right? Like
and I think October 7th, or no, October 3rd, some early October.
Yeah.
Is the deadline to register. So anybody that's not registered,
stop, y'all. Yeah.
And vote, and even if you don't vote for me, you should vote. And you know, but I prefer you vote for me.
Yeah. All right, that's great. Thanks for talking to me today, Dad.
My pleasure.
Love you.
My favorite interviewer.
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.